So before starting today's session, any questions, guys, from our previous sessions to discuss?
Yeah, Surendra, I have two questions which when I go through regarding to this fault domain which you told, right? So
Uh-huh.
yeah, you said like maximum of three fault domains which we can go for, right? If you want to go opt for availability sets, that's right.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, and here like see for example, if I select three fault domains, which will be primary, like when you talk about the communication part. See for example, like uh, see which will be like where the is like what is it? Primary setup we do actually while talking about the other two, which will
Oh,
be the communicating out of the three fault domains. I don't know whether my question is
all,
clear to you or not.
yeah. For you, these three missions are individual, identical virtual missions. Chiranjeevi.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
means you can run these three missions. You can access three missions independently or combined through the load balancer. So that is something. The topic of networking, a load balancer, how you can balance the load, how the traffic will be forwarded, right, in the back end. All those things we have dedicated session when it comes to networking,
Okay.
right? For now, like what we need to be make it understand and clear is that the priority will not come into this layer. This layer is only making your, let's say you are having three virtual machines is serving for one application, right?
Okay.
A virtual machine serving for one application on an infrastructure level. So I'm not considering anything on application accessibility, priority, and other stuff. My concern is my base first in place should be available. That's where we are concentrating and providing high availability using the availability sets or availability zones.
Okay, okay, understood. Oh, yeah, and here, like, okay, say for example, one fault domain went down, for example, and
Mhm.
the other two will serve for the end users, right? Because application will be accessible. That's correct,
That's
right?
correct. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. At some point, like maybe it is a network issue, and Microsoft resolved it, and they communicated saying like, okay, I mean, the host was back up and running, we can access. That's a
Mhm.
communication. So here, as an admin, where we can track the log, maybe where we can track the event, because when it comes to RCA we need to know at what time it went down, where it writes actually, because whatever we see it's through portal, where we can track that log events and all, like regarding to whatever the service we go for.
So we have something called help and support. So
Okay.
where if you just navigate to this button, right, this help and support, you could see some service health. So this service health will give you an understanding whatever happens against your subscription,
Oh,
right?
okay. Hmm.
Abnormally or normally, any incidents, Microsoft will report in this particular screen,
Okay.
and they will provide an RCA also. So let me see any incidents health history probably. Because we are in a free trial, our services may not be chance in affecting.
Hmm.
If you guys have any real-time scenario, if you get into this health history or a service issues, you could see them actually.
Oh,
Similarly, Microsoft will also notify your planned maintenance as well. Yesterday we discussed, no, there will
right.
be some kind of a planned maintenances where Microsoft will give you the notification. So that also will be get recorded. This is on a high
Okay.
level and a not only virtual mission in this scenario. So right, this is
Mm-hmm.
for everything. Whatever the service you opt in cloud, if that has been affected for some reasons,
Hmm.
right, that will be
Yeah.
reported in this particular screen officially. If something kind of a global
Okay.
issue, it's been affecting by everyone. Assume that in your scenario that your virtual machine alone is down, some reasons,
Okay.
right? So that
Hmm.
also will be recorded at that particular resource health alert, resource health.
Okay.
Here it will be get tracked. Let's say if I am rebooted my virtual machine, it will say it is user initiated. It's a
Hmm.
Microsoft. If you see that health is now, it's because it's not running, right? That's why it is unknown state.
Right.
So it is saying we are currently unable to determine the health of this virtual machine. If at all, if it has been in a real-time scenario, it is some operation made by Microsoft, some operation made by some other engineer. It will get recorded here and it will show who is initiated everything. What is the RCA? As here you have a download PDF, no? And a real use cases, real problematic situations will be getting an RCA in this area.
Okay, understood. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
And I got your question that how the priority and other stuff, Chiranjeevi. So just
Yeah.
bear with me for next 5-6 sessions maximum. And when we getting into not only 5-6, it will go next 10 sessions probably. And where which will start our networking concepts. At the end of our networking concept, we'll talk about load balancers.
Okay.
Right? We have a different set of load balancers on layer 4 and layer 7. In that particular scenario, I could definitely bring this particular use case and explain you how the traffic will be routed in the backend based on the priority.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, guys? Okay. If there is no further questions, let me give a recap what we have discussed in the previous session. So as part of our yesterday's session, we have talked about one more high availability concept. As part of, we went on creating a virtual machine. As part of virtual machine creation, previous session, we have discussed about availability zones, and last session we have referenced to the availability sets. And as part of availability set, we discussed there is a two components, that is one is called fault domain, other one is update domain. So fault domain will be used for your unplanned maintenances, and your update domain will be used for a planned maintenances. All right. And immediately we have also went to the portal and try creating the availability set. As part of creating an availability set, we understand that the default values of fault domains is 2, update domains are 5. The maximum it does support is 3 and 20. When I'm saying fault domain, it is referencing to the physical racks. Update domain, it is referencing to the physical hardware. And then we have talked about security, where it will be on a boot level. Could help you out on a secure boot, and then this TPM solution. And immediately we have also talked about images, right? Whereas we have discussed multiple available images in cloud, like let's say the images can be your operating systems and a plain operating systems. It can be an embedding your product in it. We'll call them as an appliances. When it comes to network security devices, you are been provisioning, right, as a virtual machines. We'll call them as NVAs, network virtual appliances, right? That is what we have discussed in a previous session. Make a note of this keyword called NVA, network virtual appliance, right? So why I'm keen on you to get to make a note of this one, because this is what you might be, your environment or your business might be using today in 99.9% of the scenarios. Okay, then we have spot instances. We have talked about spot instances where it does provide you cheaper price for your workloads for unused capacity in Microsoft data centers. We have seen eviction policies of delete and then shut down and keep those virtual machines. And also we can, where you can do the bid based on your requirement, so that it will help you out with the run your workloads without having any impact till that bidding prices matches, or the Microsoft is giving a price below to the bidding price. Right? That is what on a high level, which we have discussed in the previous session. As part of today's session, we're going to talk about virtual machine sizes. At the end of the day, as part of our virtual machine creation, we may need to give CPU and memory, right? We may need to allocate some bit of a course and some bit of a RAM or a memory to your workloads. Is that correct? Otherwise, your operating system will not typically run. right? To assign those compute like your CPU and memory to your workloads, we have in Azure, we have different kinds of a sizing. So when it comes to sizing in Azure, let me go back here. Give me 1 minute. Yeah. So when it comes to sizing, sizings is nothing but Azure by default have a defined sizings when it comes to CPU and memory that will match all your requirements. I mean, let's say starting from 1 core to 3.5 GB and then giving you TBs of memory, TBs of a RAM can assign to your virtual machine. So if you see, it is not like we can drop down and select the CPU and memory in Azure. You need to pick and choose the right size to your workloads. So when I say the right sizing, so that will define again based on the workloads what you run. For that, what Azure have come up with the scenarios is that, right, it brought up some kind of a sizings for our workloads. So when it comes to sizes in Azure, we have these 6 types of sizes available. When I say general purpose, compute optimized, memory optimized, and storage optimized GPU and high performance compute. These are all different types of sizes which we do have available in Azure. So when I say general purpose, it does starts with like B series, A series, some D series. Like if the sizing is starting with these letters, we'll call them as a general purpose. We have other sizes also, but for now, just understand that there is a sizes available. These sizes at what time, what size, specific size you need to select, and or else you need to guide your customer to make use of it, right? General purpose sizings typically will be used for your testing and development scenarios. So here in this sizing, CPU and memory ratio will be general. It means balanced. Let's say if you see that whatever the laptops today you will be using, like it most of the scenarios you might have seen the sizes that 2 core 4 GB, quad core 16 GB. This is a typical configuration you guys might have came across. Am I understanding correct? What is the CPU or desktops you guys might be using today? May I know the compute or sizing? All of you, Venkat, Siva, Chiranjeevi, Harsha. Again, I can't hear you, Chiranjeevi. That is fine. Am I
Uh,
audible?
yeah, there is a mic issue actually. I'm just checking it out. Give me 2 minutes. I'll just get it corrected.
Yeah, yeah. Now we could hear you properly. Yeah, that is fine. So what I'm trying to kind of given information to you folks is that we always have some kind of a ratio between CPU and memory. That balanced ratio will be followed as part of your general purpose sizing, right? These general purpose sizings are optimal to use for your development and testing purposes, and very kind of a small or medium databases, right? Very small traffic web servers can be used. These sizings. You have one more size called compute optimized. What is mean by this compute optimized? In this scenario, how they will maintain is that instead of balanced ratio, they will make sure to use a some bit of a high CPU and memory ratio, right? It will use high CPU and memory ratio, right? Why it will be used high CPU? Because assume that your application, you have one kind of an application, that application is meant to use only CPU, not the RAM. Have you ever came across this kind of scenarios, guys? If you go and check in your task manager and that particular process is using only CPU, not memory. And whenever the CPU is 100%, your laptop or your desktop will go and stuck and it will not give a response. You typically do the hard reboot. Hope all you guys might have experienced this problem, right? It is similar to when it comes to real-time scenario as well. When you have an application that is designed to use CPU, not the memory, in such cases, you need to go and pick up the compute optimized that will start with F series. So most of the scenarios which we have seen is a network appliances. What is mean by network appliances, guys? NVS. Which we have discussed yesterday and today also have explained what is mean by NVA. Okay, so NVS again will call them as a network virtual appliance, right? Network virtual appliances is nothing but your physical network related, security related components running as a virtual machines, right? For that kind of workloads, your compute optimized sizing will be recommended to use. Okay, and these sizings, most of the times your customer will come back and say, because when you're choosing some product from an outside world, right, that particular product owner, if you're saying that I am hosting this product in AWS, I am hosting this product in Azure, I am hosting this product in GCP, they will have a recommended sizes, they will give it to you, so that we'll just follow those recommended sizes for their application to run properly. If at all it is not the case and blindly customer is coming to us, it is our responsibility to understand what kind of workloads he will be running on top of the virtual machines. Accordingly, you need to guide them and assign the sizings. Next one is memory optimized. In this case, what will happen? It will maintain high memory to CPU ratio. It means typically what will happen when you are kind of an applications, best examples are your databases. All right, if you ever been used like MS SQL kind of a servers, it will use all your memory whichever been there for your system. If you have 200 GB of memory also, it will take all 200 GB of memory. That is the design to run your MS SQL database by default design. However, we can optimize it, that is something different, but that is the design by default. So such kind of an applications where it is a memory intensive, right? That application to run, it doesn't care about what is the CPU, but it is only concerned about memory, right? So in such cases, we need to go with the memory optimized sizing. This will be, most of the scenarios will be used for your kind of databases, when kind of a cache related services, memory analytics, right? In memory analytics, it means some applications, if you guys are aware, like SAP HANA, the application will run on a memory. It means the application will run on a RAM. Typically, it doesn't require a hard disk. Your application typical transaction will happen on a RAM. It means it requires a high amount of a memory. Like on a production workloads, we could see that 1 TB of a memory, 2 TB of a memory, I mean RAM, you will have a workloads. So in such kind of scenarios, we need to go with the memory optimized sizing. And then we have storage optimized, whereas your disk will have high amount of throughputs, that is IOs, where we require your disk will have a high amount of read and write operations. In such cases, you could go with the storage optimized sizing. That size will be referred with the L segment starting with L, right? Your big data, SQL, NoSQL databases can be used this kind of a sizing. Clear? And then you have a GPU. GPU is something which start with N, NV and ND series. N series will be used for your graphic card related sizings. Wherever your workloads are require a graphic card to be available to run your service, you could go ahead and select the GPU sizing. Why you need graphic card? Generally in your laptop?
For gaming purpose or
Hmm.
any.
High intensive gaming purpose, it will be used, right? Some kind of a Photoshop related operations, video editing operations, you should have a graphic card. Similar kind of a solutions, if you want to try it in Azure servers for a deep learning kind of a processing thousands and crores of images to understand machine learning related services, right? In such cases, you could go with the GPU related, right? Heavy graphics and video editing services, if you want to, will go with the GPU sizing. That will start with N series. You have high performance compute. They will call as like fastest compute engine which is available in cloud, which is having powerful CPU as well as your high throughput network interfaces for these workloads. All right, this is the sizings typically people will use to run a virtualization by themselves. Let's say now if I create a virtual machine, what will happen? That virtual machine will be create and run on top of a virtualization layer. Correct? That is the backend flow will happen, right? But when it comes to high performance compute, the use case, one of the use case I am saying, they will create a VM. On top of a VM, they will install their own virtualization and then they will run multiple virtual machines for a cost benefit. Right? So typically what will happen? They will pay 2000 or $1 lakh for a one virtual machine. On top of it, they can run their own number of VMs so that they will not be bothered about the cost for them. That is the main use case which I have seen for the high performance compute. Right? These are all the different kinds of sizings, guys, which is available in Azure. So if you doesn't know anything, go with the general purpose. If you have a clear understanding what are all the different kind of application it's going to run on top of a virtual machine, accordingly choose the sizing. Any questions with the sizing? Theoretical part?
No, Surendra, clear.
Okay. Let me go ahead and then show you in the portal how you need to pick up the sizings. So I'm just going to see all the sizes. Are you able to see here? D series, E series is not available in sufficient quota and all other stuff. Here you could see the filter. By default, you have all the things. So I'm just taking the generation or a family. Here, if you see all the sizings available here, what are we been discussed till now? Right? General purpose, GPU, high performance, and all other stuff. So I'm just selecting everything and click on OK. Right? If you see, for example, D segment, are you able to see here? It is a confidential compute. This is the family newly been introduced. I will also explore on it. Here, if you see CPU is one CPU and it is having memory 8 GB of memory. With this size, you are getting 4 data disks. Maximum IOPS it does support 3200 IOPS. Temporary storage it is 0. It won't give any free storage for you. And it does support premium disk. We'll talk about in next sessions about the storage and premium. And you could see the cost, which is approximate cost for this sizing is $103 per month. Right? So similarly, you have a E series that is memory intensive sizing. E series is meant for, if you see family is memory optimized sizing. If you see the CPU cores are very little, 2 cores only. What is the memory you have? 16 GB. It is not only like this, you have a 2 GB of 2 cores of a CPU. and have 128 GB of memory also. That is also quite possible, which is available, not possible, it is available in Azure. It means your CPU will be nowhere, it has a dependency for the application and it has a more dependency on a memory. Okay, guys, this is how you can pick and choose official documentation where we'll go now, like where I could give you more information as well. So this is what we have been taken, right? General purpose computer. These are all like you could see all current available sizings which has been part of like all these series for the general purpose, E series, right? D series will be for memory optimized, L series for storage, N series for GPU, H and HB, and HC is belongs to performance. Let me go to the high like memory optimized so that you will understand why I'm saying this memory optimized. Let's say this is version 5, newly been available sizing. If you see, it will say that for each sizing, what all it has been using, right? EV5 and ESV5, these are all the virtual machine. It uses third generation of Intel Xeon Platinum Ice Lake processor, right? It will use the clock speed of 3.5 gigs turbo clock speed. So like this, you could see for each sizing, what is the processor they have been using in the backend. Assume that you have a scenario that you are not quite happy with the Intel, your application is compatible to run an AMD processor. So for that, Azure brought in some services where you could see in between these sizings, there is a keyword called EA. Are you able to identify something here? EAV4, right, which I just highlighted. If you see this one, they will use the processor of AMD, right? If the size name contains a key letter called A, for example, it means it is using a processor called AMD. If doesn't have anything else, right? If doesn't have an A, it means it is typically using Intel processor. Clear, guys? Right? When it comes to further more in detail, you could find them all the sizes which is available. You could see here. You could see that 8 core and 64 GB, for example, this is the sizing. This is the temporary storage they will give. You can attach up to 16 data disks. You can attach up to 4 network interfaces, like 4 set of IPs you can assign to a single virtual machine. These are all throughputs, IOPS, and read and write and MBBS. And this is the network bandwidth it does support of 3,200. Right? This is in like it is in-depth details which you can find it in this official link of virtual machine sizes. Let me share this sizing for you in the chart window for your reference. Any questions, guys? Shall we go ahead? Yeah. So I'm just selecting my Air India. My VM name is, let's say, Air Dev VM 001. So I don't need an high availability for my this scenario. I have taken Central India as my region, so I am having this size D series general purpose size for 1 core and 3.5 GB. That is more than enough for me. As I'm selected an image as Windows Server 2019, so you need to provide the login details as well. So when I say the login details, it is nothing but your username and password for your virtual machine. By default, admin and administrator keywords are reserved by Azure. We cannot use them. So if I say the username is admin, what it is saying? Username must not include the reserved words. Similarly, administrator also cannot be used. It is also reserved. Apart from these keywords, you type anything, it will take. Let's say I use it to give for all my training session as Azure admin. Yeah. When it comes to password should be a complex password and minimum length of 12 characters in length. So if you're not meeting up the 12 characters in length, what will happen? It will not allow you to enter the credentials. Let's say I'm just entering now. What it is saying now? Password you must value between 12 and 1223 character string. It does support till 120 characters. So I was just added so that the warning went away. I'm just reconfirming my password. Is it matching, guys? The password? Yeah.
Yes.
Now, inbound port rules, this particular area alone for now you just ignore, but we'll have dedicated session on it. What is mean by inbound, what is mean by this ports and other stuff. And when it comes to networking, for now do remember two things is that to take remote because these servers are running somewhere in the data centers which has been using by Microsoft, right? So we will be sitting our work location, taking the servers remotely to manage and configure. For a Windows service to take remote, you need to have a port number to be communicated as 3389. For Linux machines to take a remote, you should have a port number called 22. Clear? Just make a note of the standard port numbers for now, but we'll have dedicated session on inbound port rules. And we have something called licensing here. What it is saying licensing? If you could able to bring our own licensing, right, with the Azure hybrid benefit, they will call it as AHB in a shortcut word. It means assume that you already purchased the licenses for your Windows servers in your on-premises, which does support to assign it to Azure workloads also. In such cases, what will happen? Your cost will be come down up to 49% of your actual cost. Clear? Assume that you are paying for $100 for your virtual machine. Your cost will come down up to $50. Why it is coming down? Because you are not taking a license from Microsoft. You are taking a license from by your own. Is it clear, guys?
Yeah.
Right? Everyone have a fair bit of understanding about licenses. Windows license, whatever you have been using today in your laptops, most of the scenarios it have licensed operating systems, right? If you're not having a valid license, you could see some sort of issues. Right. Similarly in Azure also, if you are creating Windows server, you should have a license. If you're not having a license, let's say we are not taking a license from Microsoft and we could always have an option to make use of it from bringing your own key. Till that it's clear, shall I go ahead and create a virtual machine now? So I'm not discussing today, let's say all these options. So this is what all options which we have discussed so far under basics tab, right? From top to bottom, all topics we have cleared now as part of your virtual machine creation, only a basic tab. Any questions so far?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just going ahead. Creating a virtual machine out of it. So creation of a virtual machine, guys, it won't take much time, right? The creation, if you see the virtual machine is creating so many subcomponents called network security group, public IP address, one network interface, and then finally virtual machine, right? So nothing to worry. We're going to cover all these dependent items in our subsequent sessions. For now, I just want to show you how the virtual machine look like. So I'm just navigating to the resource group. This is Air India Development RG. So somewhere I given a wrong name, that my V and then Air. This is the name I have given. So the virtual machine still it's been deploying. You could see deployment is happening. This is my virtual machine. This is how you could see all your overview, right? Resource group, subscription name, subscription ID, operating system is Windows. This is the size of your virtual machine. This is the public IP which has been assigned. So I will take a copy of a virtual machine. So to take remote of any Windows machine, by default you have a product name called a remote desktop connection. So this is the tool which will be used to connect any virtual server, like remote server. We can take a remote connection. So I was just logging into this machine now. Are you able to see that we have created one virtual machine of a Windows, and then we have logged into the virtual machine. Okay, this is how you will typically take a remote of your virtual machine, which is running at your Microsoft data center today in your on-premises data centers. To take a remote of a server, we'll use a RDP as a connectivity type. Right, if it is clear, we'll go ahead and create one Linux machine and see what are all the different kinds of options you will came across. Shall I?
Okay.
So this time, instead of creating Windows server, I'm selecting Ubuntu server. Let's say Air India Dev VM. This time it is 002. Central India. I don't need any high availability. I'm working with the 1 core and 3.5 GB. When it comes to username and password window, are you seeing is the similarly how we have done for a Windows, or is something different?
It's
It is
different.
different, right? You could not see that a window called it is similar of your username and password, right? Let's say if you want to go with kind of a similar username and password, just explicitly go ahead and select the username and password as an option, so that you just select Azure admin and your password. Right? So this can be used as default, whichever you feel like to use, like it's kind of plain authentication mechanism, which while logging into Linux machine, you could pass on username as Azure admin and direct password. But why for Linux machines alone, we have another option called SSH public key, right? Because if you see Linux operating systems, you name it, any Linux server, right? It will everything will be looks like the same when it comes to shell. You don't see any difference, right? If you log into the Oracle Linux, if you log into the Red Hat, Ubuntu, do you know, like until or unless you go and check the OS version, you don't know that which OS you are into. Correct? It looks the same shell. Right? Why it is been? It is the same across all the platforms because your Linux kernel, the backend kernel is kind of a open source. On top of it, all these vendors will develop their flavor operating system and then release it into the market. It means the kernel is open to everyone. It knows by most of the techie guys in the world how the Linux kernel will behave. They know the in and out look and corner of your operating system. right? That's where to have it more enhanced security, they have brought in this feature called allowing the authentication along with the key based. Okay, what is mean by this key? If you are like, you can directly just select the username alone. In this case, I'm just selecting Azure admin is my username. Public key source is generate the new key. So as of now, I don't have any keys generated. So what I'm feeling now, I could make use of it to generate one new more key. If at all I created one VM with the key, I want to use the same key to my another VM, I will select the existing key which is there in Azure. Third one is use existing public key. So I'm not selecting first and two. What will happen if I select first and two? Microsoft in the backend create the key and get it assigned to this virtual machine. So you don't know what exactly it is creating. You're just able to see the name of the key, right? So for that sake of an understanding, I'm going to select the use existing public key. So in this case, what will happen? We will generate the public key by our own. That key will be used to log into Linux operating system, right? For a Windows, if you guys see that I have used this remote desktop connection, so that the remote desktop connection is helpful for me to connect the server which is running in my Azure data center of Central India. Similarly, to take a remote of a Linux machine, we should have a tool called putty session. If you just type putty download, you will get very first link putty.org and then download here. So the file will be very small file, hardly 3 MB of a file, 64-bit, 32-bit operating system based on your requirement, right? The operating system you could select and download, very small file, just installation is pretty much straightforward. Once after you successfully install that, you could see utility called putty. This is the putty, right? By using this, we'll provide IP address of the hostname of your virtual machine and click on open so that you will log into the virtual machine. So along with this putty, there is a solution called putty gen also will get installed. These two products will install as part of your putty download and configuration. You could see something called putty gen. Click on it. So this putty gen will be used for your to generate the key for your virtual machine to log into your Linux based virtual machines. Just click on generate. Okay. So when I click on generate, what will happen? Typically, it will generate our own key. So you click on generate, consider this empty space, whatever you are seeing under the no key value, consider it is your keyboard. Just you need to hover, you just move your mouse here and there to generate the key, right? So I'm just clicking on generate. And then if you see, if I stop my moves, moving key generation also got stopped. So you just need to move this here and there. It will just, are you able to see there is a key got generated here? Right? You
Yes.
can, so you just take this key. So till last also you can copy, or else till before RSA also you can copy. That doesn't matter. I'm just taking the copy here and paste it. So what will happen now? To log into the virtual machine, I should have a username called Azure admin. Password, I should have this key with me. It means the physical key will be stored in your machine. If someone want to get into your machine using this Azure admin, he cannot get in because we have enabled the one more layer of a security that you will be maintaining the key for it. So what I'm doing now, I'm going ahead and creating a virtual machine using this key. It is just validation is in progress. Validation is done. I'm just creating the virtual machine. Meantime, whatever the key which we have generated, right? I need to export and then keep it with me, because if I close this window, I will lose this public key, correct? So I can directly copy this key, as well as you can export this key. To open this key also, you can set up one more password for it. It means if someone has taken the key, copied from your machine, if he doesn't know the password to open this key, he cannot make use of the key. That is third layer of a security. First layer is username, second layer is the key, third layer is to open the key. Again, you are setting up a password. So I'm just using all the available features, guys. Without having this also, you can log into the Linux machine. But the intention is here to make you understand with all available features. Clear? So what I'm doing now, there is a key passphrase. So I'm just giving a password for it. I can give my own password, whatever wish like to. Here there is no requirement that with the letters and other stuff, because it's nothing to do with Azure. So I'm just saving the public key. So we were into AZT27. This is VM02. Now we need to save it as a private key. 27. This is VM02. Click on save. Right, if I go back here to the folder AZT27, are you able to see some key got we just saved here? Assume that you have copied this key from my system. If I want to open and see the key, what it is saying? To open the key?
Ask for the password.
Yeah, without having a password, you cannot open the key. Now what we will do, our last step, we'll go ahead and log into our Linux machine. Okay, this is what we just opened now. So what I will do, this is my putty session. I will go to the browser, and this is my Linux machine which I just created, 002. I will take a public IP of it. So to connect to this server, what I should have, I need to attach the key also, what I will be holding now. So for that, you need to click on this SSH, expand, click on the authentication, browse through that. 27 VM02. Click on open. So what it will do now, it will ask you to enter the username. That is, username is Azure admin. If you see what it is asking now, without asking a password, it is logged in. Are you able to see something it is validating here? Authenticating with public key RSA. This is the name of the key which we have exported. Clear, guys? So this is the thing, like you can directly provide username and password similar to our Windows machine. So here we have seen one more available type for authentication type by using SSH key based authentication. And then we have tried connecting the workloads remotely using putty session. Any questions, guys, with the Windows machine to create, Linux machine to create, and then logging into this both the machines?
No.
Okay, how about others able to follow?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm just stopping this workflow so that we'll not get charged for that. Otherwise, what are the free credits we do have, those things will be started using of them, and then we'll be get lost our free credits. So I was just tapping these virtual machines as we are just as part of the session, we just seen how to create and log in. And for now, these
Yeah.
machines are terminated.
After stopping like the public IPs, it will be dynamic or static, the one which we have now.
We could decide that typically that if at all we are critical in workloads, we can decide that IP as a dynamic static IP. Yes, that is quite possible.
Okay. Now
By
here,
default,
if
it's not
again,
dynamic.
if we start again, you will get a new public IP here, right? It won't
Yes,
be the same.
it will not be the same because we haven't said that it's a static one for us. No,
Correct, correct. Okay.
we can
Okay, where
define.
we can ask for, see, when we are creating the virtual machine, it didn't ask us whether we need a static IP or there is no option which you will
No, no,
create it.
yeah, actually, as part of our virtual machine, we discussed only basics tab, not till now.
Okay, okay. Got it.
So
There
if
are other
you see
tabs
here,
as well, right? Correct.
so we discussed only basic tab. From tomorrow session, what we will do, we'll start discussing about disks and
Okay.
then storage concept. All next 2, 3, 4 sessions entirely on a storage related, disk related only. And then we'll go for the networking. So this is where typically when it comes to public IP, new public IP, this is in this area we'll select actually static
Okay.
IP,
Understood.
dynamic and
Thank
everything.
you.
It will come in subsequent sessions. I will show you where you can make your private IP also static, public IP also static, and all other things.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it will get covered in subsequent sessions. But tomorrow sessions, what we will do, we'll start concentrating on the disks and then subsequently to the storage concepts.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. If there is no further questions, we'll wind up the session for today and we'll connect back tomorrow same time. Yeah. Thank you guys. Thanks for joining. Have a good night.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.